that little part of what you were saying, like there's all these experiences that I can feel from that poem, but was there one particular experience that inspired that poem that you just recited?
That's a good question.
Because that was really powerful.
Witnessing the effects of pop culture on our kids. That is what sort of that's what inspired the term "it just ain't." Because I looked at it and I said, "It just ain't true. It just ain't real. It just ain't solid. It just ain't healthy. It just ain't real." And that's where it just ain't. It stuck. And from there, I just started writing. And as I started writing, I started to think about all the different things that just ain't. The stuff we see on TV, on the talk shows, on Desperate Housewives, or Oprah, or Jerry Springer. Not just rap videos. Because just as easily as our children are influenced by rap videos, we watch ER, Desperate Housewives, 21. We watch all of these different shows and we get submerged. Harlequin romance novels, MTV, every reality show that's on. We look at that and we manifest that as our reality. Someone comes on and they lose 25 pounds in 2 days, and we think that we can do that by simply drinking this orange powder. It just ain't. So all of that started to come out. And sometimes and that's one of the reasons why I write from title down, because writing from title down sort of says, okay, what about this? What about that? And it guides me to get out all of these things within the circumference of the theme. And that's why I write from title down. So the effects of pop culture on our youth is what sparked it. And then it transcended it was like, it's not just our kids who are believing this madness, but the mothers are believing this madness. The fathers are believing this madness. Our families. The whole concept of falsified wealth, which is going to be in the new book. Yeah. The whole concept of falsified wealth is killing our community. It's killing our society. We would rather look rich and be poor than to look meager and be rich. And why is that? It just ain't. So all of that stuff just started coming out. And, it wasn't just the children. And sometimes I've learned that when you speak to children, you're actually speaking to the parents. When I do commencement speeches, I don't just speak to the graduates. I tell the parents, listen up, because this is for you too. So, because they're the biggest influence, but not only that, they are the facilitators. And they are the deliverers of the culture that permeates the fiber of those kids.
And the gatekeepers.
They're the gatekeepers of information. When you sit the child in front of BET for 6 hours, the child didn't know that was like that. The child didn't know that MTV was there. But when you put that there, when you put your child in a position to be consumed by everything, then you become responsible for that. So when I speak to a group of youngsters and their parents in the same venue, I try to include everybody. Because sometimes when you speak directly to children and their parents sort of tune you out and say, well, he's just talking to the students. And they come to find out that after I finished speaking, that they were like, wow, you were talking to me. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay. You ready? Poem number 2?
Yes. Poem number 2 is called Heart Failure, and it's one of Cheryl's favorites. It's one of Cheryl's favorites, but it's a bittersweet poem for me. It's a poem that took me about 3 months to write. I had to write it, put it down, write it, put it down, write it, put it down. And sometimes it's hard to write about things that are wrong with you. It's sometimes difficult to write about what's not popular and what's not positive in you, and not necessarily me, but in our people and in our society. So the concept of heart failure is that the things that we're choosing to do as men is causing us to have sort of a cardiac arrest in our minds and in our spirits and in our hearts. So that's why I titled it Heart Failure.